Hey guys, super happy to be here once again. And today I'm very, very excited because this is a type of individuals that I really, really, really like to interview. Like for each of the podcast owners out there, they really want to catch the high stake individuals and to interview them. And now we have one of them, Jared Board, the CEO of QuantConnect. I'm very, very happy to have you here on our podcast, Blushing Quants. What a pleasure. How are you today?
Thank you, Efek. Very good to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Very good. So first of all, I'm very, very happy to have you here on the podcast, as I said, and as I mentioned previously. So let's start from the end. Wake up, kick ass, repeat. Let me let we have spoken about it previously. I'm going to be speaking about it right now. Um, you're a CEO of a company, a very, very large company. Um, how do you actually use the term behind you, and you actually force anybody to do algo trading? Because what QuantConnect what QuantConnect does is like incredible. It's incredible. Like the impact that you've made to the world of quantitative trading, like what you have guys done over the years is significant. So let's just recap everything. I would love if you can introduce yourself,
Sure.
wake up, kick ass. This is like a thing that I really, really like about you and about like your background. I really think that it's a signature. Yeah, let's introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, grinding may be our signature. That's true. So I'm Jared Broad, the CEO of QuantConnect. QuantConnect's a web platform where you can go and design and test your ideas for trading and investing. You can describe your strategy now to the AI, and then the AI can take your strategy, write the Python or the C sharp code for it, and then run research, back tests, and optimizations, and deploy your strategy to paper trading or live trading. We're pretty unique in the world in that we're multi-assets. We've got data back to 1998. We've got alternative data, and you know, we've got about 40 different brokerage implementations now. So you can route through to all of these different brokerages that we've integrated. So basically, any idea that you have, you can go and execute and implement on QuantConnect.
This is like different. Like the entire industry is like very, very, very classified. I cannot really talk deliberately with other people in the industry about what they do, and you have everything open sourced. Like, what is your
Yes.
perspective over that decision, over the shift? Like, what was your initial idea about like doing something that it's way, way, way contradict like in very like 180 degrees what the
Yeah.
what the entire industry believes.
Yeah, we're a team of software engineers, basically. I was a biomedical engineer and software engineer, and we took that approach to quant finance. So a lot of the time, quantitative developers or PhDs, etc., they might be building this tech internally in a hedge fund. We were building this as a software platform. So we built a lot
Mhm.
of abstractions in, we built a lot of core engineering principles in, and one of them is just open source and how much we lean on it and how much it kind of makes the entire world more efficient because the entire world relies on open source. With Linux, it's powering 90% of the world's servers.
Mhm.
So we wanted to try and bring this open source to finance because people basically in finance are the worst at repeating the wheel over and over and over again. And so you have every hedge fund building their own tech stack over and over again. And it's just a massive waste of time and effort. And especially with brokerage connections, now brokers are starting
It's a
to open.
nightmare. This is a nightmare.
Yeah,
That's a complete
exactly.
nightmare.
Yeah. There's so many brokers and so many APIs and so many data sets. And so everybody who wants to trade with XYZ broker, they go and they build their own integration to the broker. And it's just a total waste of time and engineering effort.
Mhm. So no, obviously, I do agree that it's a significant shift and it's significant it's significant understanding about like the needs of the industry that everybody really avoided approaching at first. But I would ask you a question. How do you think, like, if I'm an individual quant, or if I'm gathering like a team of quants, how do I can leverage the capabilities and the advantages that like that QuantConnect really enables me to use and to actually leverage them and to build something on my own without like without having like the entire boundaries of doing that alone.
Um, so QuantConnect enables you to go from your idea to a production quant trading strategy in uh, almost no time at all, in minutes. You could come up with an idea and be trading it within minutes. But to do that historically would require months to years of work building and buying data and then building the engine around that data. So by leveraging QuantConnect, you can just completely focus on your idea and testing your idea and getting it through to trading versus doing it on your own. You end up spending the vast majority of your time building the infrastructure. And people really love to build the infrastructure. And so most people, they go through this process, they look at what's out there, then they decide to build something on their own, and then they spend their entire time building infrastructure because it's kind of like a known problem. Everybody loves to like solve that known problem. I know how to get a data set. I know how to build connect it to this. But the reality is when you do that, you don't spend time on your investment and the whole
Mhm.
point of why you started that project in the first place. So
What do you think that people really like to, sorry to interrupt, but what do you think that people really like to invest in the infrastructure instead of like investing in the actual IP of the fund that they really want to establish? Because it makes no sense when you're actually coming up with the thought. And I would like to ask you directly and very deliberately, what do you think it really what the cause of
yeah,
that occasion happened?
no, it makes perfect sense because it's scary. You know, it's hard if you're brand new to this and you haven't deployed an algorithm live. Taking that first step of having your code control your capital and placing orders is pretty intimidating. And I still remember the first times where I deployed capital live and had my algo trading and saw the first profit that came in. Like it's a total rush and intimidating and scary at the same time. So no, it's very understandable. It's just we provide a way for them to just raise a focus on that alpha and getting it live trading, and it can save you a massive amount of effort and cost, and hopefully get your ideas to market faster.
Mhm. Okay, let's go back from the beginning. Let's shift the gears a little bit. Starting let's talk a little bit about the first years of QuantConnect. How do you see like what was your initial thought about the industry? How do you think that the industry shifted towards time like in between the years? What do you think that are the major differences in between nowadays to what happened when you guys established a company? What really happened due to the periods? How the market impacts really influenced you guys as an open source company? I would like to open down more a little bit.
The the world has become much more friendly to retail trading in the last 5, 10 years,
Okay.
with COVID and Wall Street bets, and
What
it's
what what do
driven.
you mean by the word friendly?
No, it's much more acceptable to do trading now. There's a lot of data sources and forums and communities around it. There were other communities back then, but it was a lot slower because
Hmm.
you would be posting to bulletin boards
Yeah.
versus of Reddit where it's real time and everybody's rallying together. I don't think there was a sense of rallying back then. Just investment communities became more of a thing in recent years. And that's also investment technology for those communities has also become more of a thing that people are using. So I think that's been really good for us. People are embracing these new technologies, and as it becomes sort of easier and easier for retail investors, they're able to embrace QuantConnect and use it more. So we always see every time there's volatility, people come to QuantConnect and they start testing their ideas and building and seeing, you know, whatever the recent volatility is, how would this strategy have performed in past events like this? So it's a
So
way.
do you think that people consume nowadays QuantConnect in a perspective of a research lab? Like they would like to actually test their ideas to actually see what happens. Like because Lane obviously is a very sophisticated backtesting engine, and I think that the individual traders who are not very who are very talented and very smart actually like to leverage it as a research lab.
Yes, definitely. So they use it to test their ideas and they use it. So we've got three or four different parts of QuantConnect. One's the Jupyter research environment. It's literally you can pull in data and do plotting or batch analysis. And then the next phase is kind of back testing. So you can do accurate step by step, event by event back testing. And then we can go through to parameter optimization. So if you've got some sort of indicator that you're using, you can test the sensitivity of your strategy to those indicators, or you can optimize a range of indicators that work well for your strategy. And then paper trading. So you can run three or four different variants of algorithms in parallel, see how they perform, route them through to different brokerage accounts and that sort of thing.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. And let's just think about like the evolution of the traders or the small and minor hedge funds who actually likes to gather. What do you think it's like the major need of them, like in terms of building their IP for the funds? Like how do you think they first need to approach their new ideas? How do they can leverage QuantConnect as software to test like to test their ideas and to prove they're not compromising over simplistic ideas and they actually can deploy algorithms to the live markets without having any fear.
Oh, that's a big question.
Yes. I'm just just trying to make it informative and very fun.
Sure. How to build a profitable strategy. So I would
That's
say,
the question,
yeah, right. That's your
the
question
greatest
indirectly. Yeah,
question.
yeah. Uh, I would start with fundamentals. Learn finance, learn quant investing, and learn basic statistics. So just understanding and thinking of things in arrays. So you're
Mhm.
not just looking at Apple and buying and selling Apple. Look at a basket. Imagine you're trading an array of stocks, a portfolio of stocks, and try and think in portfolios. So the first principle of investing is like diversification is free lunch, right? The only free lunch in investing is diversification. So just having a strategy which has a well diversified pool of stocks, just doing that gets you from like 0 to zero point 0.5 or 1 sharp, just picking a diverse basket of stocks. And so to understand what diversity means, you really need to understand correlation. And so you need to sort of pick an uncorrelated bunch of stocks. And so that just means you can't just invest entirely in, Nvidia, Apple, Tesla. You need to have a
You would
basket
need
of,
to think way more broadly.
right, a basket of assets. And so by having that basket, you're able to sort of get a benchmark sharp that goes up. And then understanding volatility is kind of fundamental as well, because if you're investing all in volatile stocks, you're going to have big drawdowns. And so, especially for the correlated volatile stocks, you'll end up
Mhm.
having constant drawdowns all at the same time, and your portfolio will look kind of choppy because everybody's looking for a high sharp strategy, but they don't want to use volatility measurements or uncorrelated assets. So yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Like I think that what do you think about the educational background that people like the individual retail traders are actually coming to actually deploy algorithms with like in comparison to like professional quantitative researchers like with a very formal background, academic background. Like what do you think about like the differentiation about like what the type of education that they can absorb, like the individual traders, and how they can compete or like align in terms of level to the actual quants with a very formal academic background.
I don't think it's a clash like that. It's
Mhm.
it's more like an ocean, and everybody's hitting the water in the ocean. It doesn't really matter. You hit the water somewhere else. You're only going to be clashing with those quants if you're doing high frequency trading. But the vast majority of people aren't doing that. They're doing some sort of swing or medium term frequency or some portfolio basket style strategies. So I don't see any direct clash between Citadel quants and everybody else.
Mhm.
So the 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 main thing is just doing your own thing, understanding your goals. That's the first part. People come into quant trading sometimes thinking it's about making 100% per month and just retiring on a beach somewhere. It's understanding that it's a grind, it's a full-time job. You'll be watching your algorithms and watching the markets. You'll be developing strategies constantly. Understanding that it's about uh, setting up a process for constantly evolving your strategy, not necessarily just working for 6 months to find the perfect algorithm. It's about building an algorithm, deploying it, building it, deploying it, building it, deploying it. Like algorithms will live and die constantly.
The
Um,
non-ending renovation.
yeah, right. And so having that mindset is kind of that's all you need to worry about. You don't worry about competing and sit it out.
Mhm.
Um,
Let's dive into a very interesting aspect that I see that I see people are actually looking to hear about like your perspective out of out of the capability of QuantConnect and their and your infrastructure basically to actually leverage not just to search or to research their trading ideas, but how reliable it is and how reliable it is to actually raise funding for trading is to use only is to leverage entirely from end to end your infrastructure, like from A to Z, entirely from A to Z. How do you think, how much reliable do you think it is in like in comparison to build the entire infrastructure on their own? How do they can protect their IP? How do they can protect the mind fluid? How they can actually scale with you guys?
um, so we have a lot of professional traders using QuantConnect. And we do about 60, 70 billion notional volume a month. So those are $5 million hedge funds up to about 50 billion AUM hedge funds. And they range from like a full hedge fund focused on QuantConnect tech stack to like pods within a larger fund. Like a fund like
Mhm.
Millennium, you've got say 50 pods and they all have 100 million allocation each. And so those pods have a lot of freedom how they implement their strategies. So all Millennium or all the pod shops, all they care about is like, here's the fix API, route the orders here to get them filled. And so QuantConnect has so many different brokerages, you can basically start up your pod or desk on QuantConnect, and it's very, very quick to get to market. So a lot of the
Mhm.
times when you're in those professional trading, those pod shops, um, you're given a complete flexibility about how you implement your strategy. And if you have to go build your own infrastructure to connect to those broker destinations, it can be a 6 month lead time. And with QuantConnect, you can sort of get to production within a day or a week to get your strategy trading.
That's insane. That's insane. Let's just
Right.
talk about a little bit about yourself, from biomedical engineer to quantitative to the quantitative world. How did that happen very fast, I think. Very
Um,
fast transition.
yes, they're pretty similar. So biomedical engineering has a lot of math and modeling,
Quantitative
and
biology.
yeah,
Like
literally.
if you go to archive by Cornell University, you would see quantitative finance right beneath. You see category
Yeah.
quantitative
Yeah.
biology. So it makes Just a quick joke. Yeah, I'm with you.
That's cool. I think Cornell was also the sister biomedical engineering school of my school. So we
Really?
had a yeah, I think so.
What's
Auckland Biomedical,
where'd you go to college? Where'd you
University
go to
of
college?
Auckland in New Zealand.
University of Auckland. Oh, really?
Yeah, I think there were
Ah.
like two main biomedical engineering centers, North and Southern Hemisphere. I think the other
Hmm.
one was Cornell. I can't remember, but
Hmm.
the yeah, it was very very similar. It's lots of math, lots of quant work, but it's just on a different data set. It's on a 3D modeling of your cells and chemical processes within the cells. And then that was fine, and I worked in it for a little bit, and I just wanted to work on something that was a little bit more immediate. Biomedical engineering and all of the technology you build with it takes like 10 years to get anywhere. But with software and entrepreneurship, you can sort of help people today, it was a much more immediate feedback loop. So I did trading. I started investing as a teenager, and then when I was in my mid 20s, I was doing humanitarian work and sort of trading my personal accounts, and started to write code to do some of that trading for me, just because I was too emotional about it. I was getting attached to
Hmm.
the P&L swings, and I wanted to systemize the strategy so I had some more data on it. And that started the last 15 years.
I think the greatest story in the industry starts from how people uh, feel and how emotional we are like as human beings, and how like they take their emotional disadvantage, obviously rotation, but how do they leverage it into doing something spectacular. By the way, you have spoken about a Unitarian work that you have done previously in the days when you were just thinking about the idea of QuantConnect. Let me know what you have done back then.
Yeah, this is going back a few years now, but I left New Zealand, and there's something New Zealanders do. It's called OE, just because we're so far away from the world. Uh, a lot of New Zealanders travel and leave New Zealand and go for explore the world. Go,
Although it's a significant country,
yeah, it's like it's
very beautiful
4 million
one.
people. They say that there's 1 million New Zealanders out of New Zealand and like 4 million in New Zealand. So it's like
Wow.
20% of the country is gone. Yeah, but yeah, so I traveled, I explored Asia. There was a massive cyclone that
Mhm.
hit a country called Myanmar. So I kind of hacked my way in because the border was closed. So I had to figure out a way into the country, and then was basically volunteering for a month or so. And that was like working with Buddhist monks to smuggle rice through rivers. Because the military is Myanmar's a military dictatorship, so they locked down.
Okay. Now everything is understandable.
Yeah, they locked down the whole area, and they weren't letting any humanitarian supplies into the area. So, but they
Mhm.
were working with the Buddhist monks, so we had to like get the supplies to the Buddhists and the monks and get it smuggled down the river. Um, and yeah, it was quite the experience. But after that, I linked up with working in it more professionally for a few years.
Mhm.
Got a job, started working actually trying to push the NGOs to adopt software to make their processes more efficient. And yeah, it was an interesting experience. We did Haiti, Chile, Myanmar, Pakistan. There was
Wow.
floods in Pakistan. It was amazing.
So you
Yeah,
saw a little bit of the world, and I guess that you have experienced few cultural
yeah.
experiences. Going back to our discussion about you guys about QuantConnect, I would like to talk a little bit about Lean, because I think that what made a significant change, like in what I see, like as of your client. And yeah, I'm very very happy to be one of your clients, to be frank. Um, what do you think, like in terms of like your backtesting engine lane was like, or did the major differentiation between what like what the world has to offer and what QuantConnect has to offer. Because um, like how do you actually make it like in a fund grade level to enable people to actually deploy their algorithms, and like how do you keep it like a software engineer as a software engineer to be to be like in a very fund level grade fund grade level to make it like very efficient like with time goes by.
Mm. Um, there's a few foundational aspects to Lean that make it really useful to 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 do institutional grade backtesting, and then there's also what users are looking for. So I think there's both. So just starting with the users part, basically people are seeking infinite flexibility. You really are not constrained with Lean. You can build almost anything you want. And because it's pure Python and has the entire Python ecosystem, you can pull in all these machine learning libraries and packages, and you can build and do whatever you want. And then we're not really opinionated. And anytime we can, we put a plugin interface so that, for example, fees aren't set. They're a plugin. So we can
Hmm.
plug in interactive brokers fees or tasty trades fees or trade station fees. And so those transaction costs go through and are modeled in the backtest. But then we have like hundreds of these plugin points, like brokerages, datasets, everything. They're all plugins. And so it's all very, very flexible. And so that means that when you want to do something, you can do it with Lean. So a lot of the times people come to us, they've gone to some other platforms and they're like, it's so restrictive, or I'm not able to build what I want to build. So they can do it on QuantConnect. But
Hmm.
that's kind of the top layer. And then the bottom layer is really what's the hard parts that make that possible. So we've done a lot of very careful engineering and thinking to make the securities, the corporate actions, the mapping and tracking of assets through time very, very robust. And we can go back to 1998. We link through to all of these different data sets that we support, including fundamental, news, sentiment factors. And so it's all linked into the assets and the tickers that you're using. So you can say, give me the Russell 2000, and we'll track all of those assets, all of the corporate actions, the dividends, splits, IPOs, the listings, mergers of all those companies coming together. You say, give me the factor and the fundamental and the news feed for the Russell 2000. And so you can imagine over time you'll have Facebook and it'll turn to Meta. The ticker will change. And so your news feeds will need to change from looking at Facebook to looking at Meta. And yeah, all the
Data quality is a very significant measurement when you're actually want to deploy an algorithm, because that change of ticker actually caused a lot of self-deployed fund grades to fall along, I think.
you're just wrong, right? You can't trust a backtest if the data is bad or it's not modeling the actual
Mhm.
performance accurately. So I
So
think
how do
the
you
other
guys ensure that? So how do you guys ensure that you're actually making sure that the data is enough reliable for constant backtesting
we,
to enable fund rate training?
we have a lot of systems in place and people and time.
Yeah.
So we have AI systems that are constantly scanning. We get the same data set from multiple vendors so that we can cross check them and
Hmm.
detect errors or detect omissions. And then we try and source the data sets directly from the sources as well. So we'll
Hmm.
have our primary copy and we'll have other backup copies and we'll merge them and validate them. And then we have automatic spiders, we call them, and they crawl the data set looking for bugs. And so we
Hmm.
can code the spiders to go back and look for bugs. And we'll flag the bug and then we have a human go and fix it or review it or whitelist it. Because, sometimes a gap is just a gap. A company announces
Right.
something overnight and the price moves. So, but other times it's a bug. So you have to go back and look at
Hmm.
50,000 companies and 20,000 trading days.
That's an infrastructure. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. Going back, like speaking about like after having like a significant and a very and correct data to start doing, how do you actually make sure that the research experience in QuantConnect actually aligns with the actual needs of quantitative or official quantitative traders with like to research their ideas. Like, how do you make sure that everything is aligned to their needs? How do you address their pain points? How do you know like what is the pain point of a quant trader in New Zealand, and in comparison, what's the need or desires of a quantitative trading, I don't know, in London,
Sure,
just for the terms of the alignment.
sure. It's pretty boring. I wouldn't say there's any secret sauce there. It's just listening and talking to people. Um,
Mhm.
I'm sure I do 20 to 30 support tickets a day. So that's just directly working with people and helping them solve their
You
problems.
do nowadays.
Yeah.
Those are calls that you do nowadays just to ensure that like the system like, and the software itself is aligned to their needs. Even
Yeah.
nowadays.
Yeah. So I'm still doing a lot of support. I find it really valuable to really hear what people are doing and how they're using it, where they're struggling. And so I can go away and I can say, hey, we saw 20 people struggling with this in the last week. Let's go back and make this better, improve
Mhm.
this area so we can. Yeah, and that's just listening and getting feedback and talking to people.
How
Um,
important it is.
yeah, yeah,
How
it's
important it is a question mark.
sure critical. What else? Otherwise, I think it's just you're either building in the dark or
Hmm.
you're building in the light with feedback. And so you
Hmm.
can build something that people actually want by listening, and sometimes they might be saying the same thing in different ways, and so you
Hmm.
sort of can draw the common points between what people are saying and
Yeah,
build something that
to
solves
mitigate the same conclusions like from the same conversations.
kind of, yeah, like
Hmm.
it might, I can't think of a good example, but like maybe one person says, hey, I want a list of trades, and another person says, hey, I want to plot a list of trades, and another says, hey, I want better charting. And it all converges to something about results and understanding their algorithms better. And then
Hmm.
why do you want the trades and why do you want the better charting? And it's so that I can understand why this gap happened or why my back test is doing badly at this point, and sort of trying to read between the lines from 20 people and then figure out the common solution to that problem.
I
Um,
got it.
yeah,
I got it. Okay. Let me ask you this. First of
not
all, I
really
would like
quant development though.
again.
It's not really quant development or anything about that, but yeah.
Yeah, but let's speak about like your new AI systems, which I would love to speak about much more deliberately. Let me know how do you actually remove the hallucinations, or how do you actually enable the AI to craft an algorithm that it's enough reliable for production without like all the hurdles that we experience from large language LLMs nowadays, basically. Yeah, it's way more complex to say large language models like in a high frequency. Yeah.
Sure,
So
sure.
I much prefer
So we for the listeners who don't know, we released recently something called Mia V2. So it's a agentic chat, and what that means is that the AI can go and interact with QuantConnect to execute your goals. It doesn't just listen and talk back. It actually goes and does stuff, and then it looks at the world and gets feedback and acts on that. So we made a tight integration with a leading US provider and tied it into QuantConnect using the tool called MCP, which is a way for the AIs to talk and interact with QuantConnect. And so that you can just go and describe your strategy to the AI, and then it can go and write the code into QuantConnect directly. It can compile it, it can fix the bugs in the code, fix the syntax errors, and then go and run back tests and iterate and read the results and analyze the results of the back test.
Mhm.
So we've been working on different variants of this for years, but this is the first one where you can literally in about 2 to 10 minutes you can just interact with a chat bot and it can write a strategy for you and present your strategy that's almost ready to go to production. You basically just need to do a human review and make sure it's okay, and then you're able to deploy that through to production. So that's pretty mind blowing and it's pretty fun. So like you just go and start chatting and interacting, you're getting feedback, and it's writing hundreds of lines of code for you really, really quickly. So it's kind of a very new experience of quant development.
Mhm.
And then
And yeah,
your
yeah, go
your
for it.
actual yeah, sorry, your actual question was how. There's a lot to it, but one of the key things is that we've been open source for so long and the community's shared so many examples. The AIs have scraped a lot of content from QuantConnect and they're able to write reasonable algorithms for us. And then the other one was we've built really great feedback for developers, for human developers. So when you have an error in your code in QuantConnect, we don't just throw a generic Python error. We give a very descriptive error about what the problem is because people were struggling to code their strategies. And so by giving that to the AI is able to read the docs and find the explanation and fix the code much more effectively than people can because
Mhm.
it's just faster and it has a better knowledge of our documentation.
So you're actually leveraging like the open source and the community of QuantConnect for further development and new innovations in the field of quantitative world, just for addressing the hype of AI, like, but using the fundamental algorithms and the fundamental tools that you guys have developed over the years, just to make it much more ready for fun training.
I think so, if I understand you correctly. So the communities shared thousands of examples in the discussion forum just to each other.
Thousands of algorithmic ideas, like that. Is that what you're referring to?
Ideas and code, we have a discussion forum where people can go and they can publish their algorithms. And so
Hmm.
they talk with other community members, they give each other feedback. If you want to learn quant training, you can go to the forum and clone the code and it'll replicate it to your own account. And so there's tens of thousands of algorithms in the community that people have just been publishing and sharing over the last 10 years. So from that, the AIs have gone and scraped it and built knowledge about how to write a Quant Connect algorithm. But the API has changed and evolved over time. We've added a lot of features, so we needed to pair that with like a good syntax checking compiler, the backtesting engine to give it feedback. Yeah, the net result is it's basically sub 10 minutes to build an algorithm and deploy it to a quant account, to your brokerage account.
This is insane. This
Yeah,
is insane. Well, I would like to dive a little bit deeper into your perspective as a CEO, and how do you actually leverage like besides taking the shared algorithms, but how do you actually leverage the community and the open source onto your business opportunities, like in terms of developing and actually making sure that the continuous evolution of QuantConnect will actually be healthy and very productive over the years.
I wouldn't say we leverage the community. it's
Like,
I think we
like,
serve
how do
the
you
community.
leverage the strength of having a very large community? Like, because you guys have an open source, like all of your code is open source. How do you leverage the strength of the community to answer their needs, like constantly? How do you think about it, like as a CEO of a company that does basically this, who
Sure.
writes this, basically?
I think we serve the community and we listen and we get a lot of feedback from them. And we're in a lucky position that we're able to get a lot of feedback and make changes and improve the experience for them. So that's been really great. People are able to help each other by sharing. by public sharing. And so they do that through the forum or through a new listing that we just are publishing called Strategy Library, a strategies collection.
Mm.
So they're able to go and share and learn and copy each other's strategies and merge them together and do whatever they want with them. So that's sort of like the community connecting and collaborating through QuantConnect. And then another nice effect from building a community of quants is that you've got people at different stages. You've got sort of academics or students, and then funds, and they need help. Everybody needs help. So the funds need team members. The students need jobs or internships. The some people are learning quant development. Some people are pros and are looking for jobs. So it's just like everybody's in the space and everybody's willing to work together. So, for example, some people are students publishing algorithms to the strategy library, and then funds can go and browse the strategies and hire the students. And so we're able to sort of try and set up network win-wins where we're able to connect with other members of the community for to accomplish your goals, whatever they are. You know, like new team members for your fund, new strategies for alpha, you know, new internships, new jobs. Lots of different ways that people connect on QuantConnect.
Very good. So this is actually very, very fascinating. Quick question before we end up our session. Um, how do you see QuantConnect evolve in next let's go for a fair amount of years, 5 years. I think it's very fair. You would say, but how do you think you guys will shift towards today's innovation and like future innovations, like when like to address like continuous needs. How do you envision it? Like, what do you think that will be the next pain points or the desires of the community?
Yeah, 5 years is like an infinity.
So
It's
let's
just
let let's 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 go 1 year. Yeah, like 5 years, like with AI,
yeah, with AI these days, 5 years is a really long time. But no, we
it's gonna
will.
be a prophecy more than an estimation.
Yeah, we're extremely fast at adopting and embracing new trends and new technology. We've always been at the front of every new trend. So um, we had the early AIs, the chatbot style AIs, you know, 2022, helping users read our docs and that sort of thing. AIs are now finally getting reasonably good at writing code. So they will be writing users' code and helping them implement their strategies. Um, we will see where they get to. If they become smart enough that they're able to do, you know, complete control or complete automation on some of the stuff, it could be really fascinating. Like automated alpha search, automated quant,
That's that's
everything.
that's a hell of a vision. That's a
Maybe,
vision. That's a vision.
but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how well they get. But in the meantime, we are just constantly serving and iterating and improving the platform for the users so that they can keep having something that makes them money. That's basically what it is. We need the best platform in the world to build and trade your investments.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So, Jared, it was a pleasure having you here on our show, the Blushing Quants. To be frank, I'm very, very excited to have you here. And I think it wasn't really about quantitative
Uh,
trading, like by the roots, but yeah, like before the episode, someone told me, like one of my listeners told me, hey, Jared is he's a superhero. I would like to hear more about like Quant Connected, about himself, and not about like how does he craft his own algorithms, because that will be less relevant for a type of individual like Jared. So I think it was like a very high level, just to understand Quant Connect like out of your perspective, and I think it was very, very informative. Um, and yeah, I really want to thank you, and it was a pleasure having you here on our show today.
but thank you so much, Afik. I really
Thank
appreciate the invite.